Well, a very good evening to everybody out there in TV land. This is Eddie and
Uber's Cosplay.
Uber's Cosplay, aka Ben, here at Flynn's on this lovely Monday evening. We're as close to 7 as we usually get, 7:09. We're getting better every single week. So we just treasure each and every person who comes to check us out and hang out on the stream for the next hour or so, talking about Gunpla and Gundam and anime stuff all melded into one. Right. And so by all means, Ben's information is always below. But Ben, if they want to get in contact with you, how do they get in contact with you?
Best way to get in contact with me is on Instagram, but I'm also on Facebook and YouTube. You can look up on pretty much all social media as Uber's Cosplay. That's UBERS Cosplay. And if you want to talk to me in person, talk shop, cosplay, model kits, anything, I'm usually here on Thursday nights, usually working on some stuff of my own.
Exactly. So if you want to come by Thursday nights, 8 p.m., we have the build and paint night, totally free to attend. And it's just a great time to come together, nerd out with each other, look at new kits, ask questions, or if you've never gotten involved in Gundam before, hey, come on out. We have beginner kits, and we have a lot of new cool pieces and models and tools and gadgets and gizmos.
We do have nippers now for you guys that are new and don't have any kind of tools. We have entry grade nippers that you can get as well. So, and
the nippers, just for those who don't know what they are, they're the little like scissor things.
The little cutters for removing the parts from the sprues. But we got those. We got sandpapers now. We got more and more supplies to get newbies in there, and some supplies to restock you if you're an old hand at it.
Yep. And we also have some kits that don't require any glue or taking apart or anything like that. Right. So by all means, you can just pick up one of the kits. Like I think Pokemon kits don't require that.
Pokemon kits, like those are just like the
snap ones.
Where it connects to the runner is so small, you can pop it out with your fingers.
Okay.
And just assemble it in a couple minutes.
Okay, perfect. And then also the Haros are like that too, or no?
The Haros, I think you might need some clippers on those, but I'm pretty sure they have the super thin runner as well.
And then also the Dragon Ball stuff we have.
The Dragon Ball, and we have My Hero Academia kits as well.
Yes.
A lot of stuff for people that aren't necessarily into Gundam, and we've got tons and tons more stuff coming on the way and for future pre-orders, so check us out.
So be sure to stay tuned, guys. If you're not part of our Discord, by all means, jump on there. Our Discord channel is, or our Discord is a chat forum, I guess you could say, like an old school chat forum with different channels.
Yeah, but it's moderated and stuff like that. And on the Discord, we have tons and tons of different channels we have ones for just people that are just messing around posting memes at work when they shouldn't be online.
Yes.
Which is what I'm doing most of the time. We have ones
Gundam, the tournaments.
We have ones for tournaments, the streams, and we have ones for Gundam. And then there's also one specifically for the Gundam Club, where I'll post updates and stuff specifically for the club members about like what's coming up, or like when the order sheets and stuff go up and things like that.
100%. So if Lester or Randall is watching this stream, we have your items from the last pre-order.
Yes, come in
here.
And pick up your stuff.
So we have them here. So Lester or Randall, if you're watching this, by all means, come by. And then we are, like, once again, guys, to make a long story short, we're almost there with the automated payment for that Gundam Club as well. Right. So bear with us. And and also we want to make one brief announcement before we get into the meat and potatoes. What we're going to do is we're going to start switching up the Let's Talk Gundam, or let's call it Gunpla section between Gundam and Warhammer. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out that schedule, and we're going to do probably one time Gundam, next time Warhammer, one time Gundam, next time Warhammer. And the reason is, number one, to give us more time to prepare, and number two, because we have the expansion already going down. The amount of work that needs to be done over there really requires a lot of our time, all of our time. So we need to make sure that that's up as soon as possible so we can enjoy even more epic Gundam and Warhammer and tabletop and tournaments. So I'll probably release that schedule in the next couple days or so. I think that brings you up to speed. And of course, this Saturday we have our Valentine's event here at Flynn's. Right. So that's from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. here at Flynn's. We have live screen printing, free live screen printing. We have the stickers. We're going to have sushi, omusubi, boba tea, cotton candy, popcorn, like we normally have cotton candy and popcorn. And then we're also going to be rolling out, I haven't decided how we're going to do the pricing for that night, but I always come up with something. We're also going to have some friends, I believe, from Good Karma Animal Rescue here that evening, just kind of talking about their kitten hospital they have up and running as well. They'll have like a little table, just kind of sharing information, looking for volunteers as well for that organization. So brings you guys up to speed. Hope to see you this Saturday at 5 p.m. So we have some new kits. We had new kits here. They're no longer here for this particular one.
But we'll get more of them in the future. I'll make sure to pre-order some as well. But it's hard to do reviews of kits we have immediately because by the time we get to Monday, stuff is gone. They made a huge run on it. I know Will was saying that when he had the box, there were people just jumping at it already trying to get in there.
Right.
At all the new stuff we had.
Yeah, that showed up totally random. So now we have
we try to keep you guys abreast of everything that's going on. That's why if you're a club member or if you're just interested in Gundam, it's important you guys get on the Discord.
Right.
Or at the very least follow the Instagram account because we'll post up updates of what we're getting and when we get it so you guys can get in here usually before the general populace gets a crack at things. So
yes.
Definitely worth checking out that Discord and the Instagram accounts.
Awesome. Yeah, you've been posting some of the new stuff that we're doing.
Right, I'm just posting like stuff that's not necessarily Gundam, just like strange kits and stuff that come up for pre-order. I'm like, are you guys interested in this? Do you like this? And people are like, yeah, I want these about this. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to make sure to get enough for our guys and then expand, get more of it as well. But if there's something like in particular you're looking for that's either rare or maybe it's just like kind of a niche thing.
Right.
Like I know somebody mentioned one of the club members was looking for more of the Digimon kits.
Right.
Which a lot of places just don't stock because Digimon is kind of niche.
Sean. Yes.
And even more niche is the Digimon people that do model kits. So stuff like that we're just like watching out for. And like I said, if there's something in particular you got your eye looking for, let us know, and I'll see if we can get a hang of it.
Yeah, and by all means, message Ben directly through Instagram, or if you message our channel or leave a comment, I'm going to direct you to Ben anyways, because he oversees the purchasing and the acquisitions of the different, model kits and all the cool stuff. And the pre-orders definitely take time to line up because it's not like, oh, we're coming next month. It's like, months and months and months.
Pre-ordered out until like July, and every month we've got like big boxes coming, much more than we've had in the past because we've obviously seen the demand go up.
Correct.
And we're looking to do more and more like events, like the things we got coming up, like where we're just doing Gundam style events. And if everything pans out correctly with the expansion, we're gonna have a lot more space.
Yes.
Just to stock stuff. So you're gonna see a lot more kits come in and a much bigger variety of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming in that people were asking about. Like I know some guys were asking about like some of the high-grade Zeon Aquatic suits.
Yes.
They're kind of like these strange little, almost like crab-like robots, and they're popular, but they haven't made like new molds for most of them since like 2002.
Okay, so they're little old.
So they come out sparingly every now and then. So I saw those come out and make sure to pre-order those, stuff like that.
All right.
And in general, I like to think I have a pretty good finger to the pulse for what people want.
You do.
But like I said, if you're into something that's maybe a little more obscure, maybe people aren't familiar with, talk about it in the Discord, and I'll make sure we get some stuff for you. But gauging the interest is always the most important thing. Let us know what you guys like, and we'll do more of that. Yeah,
if you don't become vocal in what you want, we do our absolute best to cater to the needs of the Flynn's family and the Flynn's community that are builders or thinking into that world as well. Right. And the same thing goes segueing as we segue into Warhammer, we segue into tabletop gaming more and more. We will have the new releases for the Pokemon cards, which is something totally not related to Gundam, but things like that. We're trying to remain finger to the pulse so that we can kind of move forward.
Right.
But you do have a story this evening, quite a story for everything that you have on the table right here.
So, cat's out of the bag on this one if you want to go ahead and go to camera
2.
Camera number 2.
Bam.
This one I had been talking about for a while. This just came out. This is the real grade Zeong model kit. This is actually my first real grade kit. I'd been holding off for a very long time, but when I saw this one announced a little while back, I knew it was going to be the first one I had to do because the Zeong is such a strange and outlandish design, and Bandai really went to the nines for this one in terms of detail and everything it can do. And just a little disclaimer right off the bat is we don't have this one right now. We ordered a bunch and they pretty much sold out the first day. I was lucky enough to be able to grab one of the effect part ones. There are 2 versions of this kit. The one you see here is the more expensive premium one that comes with all these effect parts, all the beam effects on the fingers, obviously everything going on with the skirt. It does not come with the normal kit. The normal kit on its own, I think MSRP is around 54,000 yen, and this one's quite a bit higher than that. So if the price is a sticking point for you, you might want to go with the normal version if you don't really care about all the effect parts. But for me, I really wanted this awesome display option you can do. Wouldn't have all these effect parts, so I went for the slightly pricier option.
And this is a real grade.
This is a real grade kit. This is my first real grade. But if you've built like the real grade Gundam, I know you've built like the Crossbone. Same kind of thing where it's got a huge level of detail, but the Zeong is even.
Oh no,
even
it's
more.
crazy amounts of detail, bro.
I think this might be the biggest real grade in terms of parts and stuff. I'm pretty sure the Sazabi is bigger because it still has legs. The nature of the design.
That's a real grade?
Yeah, there's a real grade of the Sazabi that's in the same scale and
Holy
same
crap.
level of detail as this.
Really?
And that's just a big mobile suit in general. But the Zeong is bigger than that, but it doesn't have legs, so it might be smaller. But definitely, I think one of the most impressive real grades I've ever seen. That's why I had to jump on it. The Zeong is kind of a strange design, as it might be pretty obvious. This is one of the Gundam ones that very much throws back to the 70s origins, like where stuff could kind of look very strange, kind of wacky. But the design in the real grade has been updated so far and so extreme to where it looks just fantastic, even though it's such an outlandish design. And we'll get a little bit into that if you want to go ahead and switch.
Yeah,
to the
for
other
sure.
thing. We have a little video clip, so if you're not familiar with the Zeong and you want to see some of it in action, got this little clip. This is from the opening of the Gundam 0081 video game.
Oh, awesome. All right.
Just play this for a second. So you can see there the Zeong launching. And even the other pilots are like, is that thing even complete? It doesn't have legs. It's like, must be some kind of ace. Or either that or we're getting really desperate sending out half-finished mobile suits. A little bit of both in this case. But you can see in this clip just how powerful this mobile suit can be.
Man.
Yeah, so a pretty powerful mobile suit. All right, you can go ahead and pause the clip.
Okie dokie. Somebody's fixing the video real quick. So everything detaches, stands on its own.
Yeah, he can shoot off the arms, and the arms can attack enemies independently as like an all-range attack.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and
I'll stop it for
pause
us.
this and switch us back. All right, so in the context of the show, this is the final mobile suit piloted by Shahar Aznable in the original series. Shahar is like the
leader, right?
He's not the leader, but he's Amuro's rival.
Okay.
In Zeon as a whole, he's just a soldier. He's like a famous soldier, but he's just a soldier.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought he much more influential.
He's much more. He's not like a political player in the original series.
Right.
He's just, like I said, a famous soldier. But the whole thing with Shahar is he's not just wearing the helmet as part of his look. He's hiding his identity because he's the son of Zeon Zum Daikun, who was the guy that founded Zeon. But Daikun was assassinated by the Zabi family, and they took over and turned Zeon into like this dictator, this harsh military dictatorship. So he's in Zeon, essentially, which is he's going to get close to the Zabi family to kill them. That's his plan.
Okay.
So that's why he's wearing the helmet. He's in disguise. And
they really don't know who he is?
Cassilia, by the end, knows who he is, but
Hey, Jay.
Cassilia is just as evil as the rest of her family.
So they don't care.
She's like, yeah, I'll let you kill off the rest of my family, so I'm in charge.
Right.
But by throughout the course of the show, like when they introduce Shahar as a character,
Right.
When he first fights Amuro basically bests him, and he kind of loses sight of the goal of taking out the Zabi family, and he becomes obsessed with just defeating Amuro. To the point where he ends up recruiting Lala, who's the young woman who he basically falls in love with, and so does Amuro. And throughout that course of events, Lala is killed, and makes Shar even more bitter, and he just wants to beat Amuro. And Amuro's consistently beating him, not just because the Gundam is a powerful suit, but just because Amuro's a very powerful new type. And a new type in Gundam is basically an awakened, evolved human.
That's like a psychic, right?
Like a psychic. They have limited psychic powers, and mostly it ends up being they're able to sense other people, other new types around them. And it's important in Gundam because the technology in Gundam that allows mobile suits to function, like there's these mini nuclear reactors, also inhibit all forms of long-range warfare. They create a kind of particle that obscures laser communications, radio waves, and even visual light if they're in high enough density. Like you can look out into space if there's a high enough density of these particles, it can just be like a cloud in space. But because of that, mobile suits are developed and they're close range, heavy weaponry. Why new types are so powerful in that context is because all those other kinds of communication get jammed. How do you engage enemies at long range? You can't. But the psychic emanations of new types are not blocked by these particles. So they can still sense each other in this chaotic battlefield. And they end up developing a way to remotely control weapons using these psychic powers. And that's what these remote controlled arms are. So like the whole idea is you could be far away from danger in this suit and send your weapons out remotely to attack enemies far away and keep you away from danger. That's like the whole purpose of these kind of weapons. And it's also, as you saw in the clip, you can attack multiple enemies from multiple directions and they can't really react very well because they can't see you, they can't sense these weapons. And just being a new type, you're given those powers of precognition and you're able to have like a sixth sense of the battlefield. So that's why new types are so powerful. And you see Zeon near the end of the war, they're getting very, very desperate. And they're kind of putting all their hopes into new types and these powerful weapons they're able to control. Because the Federation outnumbers them like 10 to 1. So very much they're going for a quality over quantity type of battle. But like I said, late stages of the war, they're getting very desperate. They're putting like kids into battle and like leftover mobile suits, just whatever they got. And one of the things they have is the Zeong. The Zeong, at the time it goes into battle, is not really fully complete. That's why it does not have the legs. They kind of had to develop it in a hurry, and it basically goes into battle 80% complete. And Char is like there talking to the guy that's getting the suit ready. He's like, it doesn't have legs. Is this thing even ready? He's like, the legs don't matter in space. It's just for show anyway. The thing's 100% combat capable, and only you could handle something that's this extreme. And he really, really goes to town in that final battle because Zeong is a monstrously powerful mobile suit. Just to put into context, the original Gundam, what really set this apart from other mobile suits in the era of the timeline was its beam rifle. The beam rifle is a mobile suit carried weapon that has power equivalent to a battleship gun. That's what makes it so powerful. Okay. One shot of the beam rifle could fell an average mobile suit, and everyone else is like packing machine guns. So that's what made it so powerful. As comparison, Zeong is packing a beam cannon in each one of its fingers, so that's 10 beam cannons right off the bat. It's got 2 more in the chest and another one in the head. So it has a ton of firepower. It has a huge firepower advantage over the original Gundam. And just because of its unorthodox design, you might think it's slow, but instead of legs, it's packed with thrusters. It's incredibly fast.
To move around very, very quickly.
Yeah, and of course it can attack Amuro from multiple different directions at once. So when they get to the end of the show, they're fighting this long, protracted battle. And if you were interested in seeing the original series, that's actually on Crunchyroll right now. The entire original series, both subtitled and dubbed. Although it's the slightly older, like early 2000s Ocean dub, so quality's hit or miss. But you can see the entire series now on Crunchyroll. So if you maybe are unfamiliar with Gundam and you want to see some of it, and you want to go back to the original 1979 show is on Crunchyroll right now, as well as a couple other shows if you want to just watch some newer stuff. I think Gundam 00 and Wing is on there right now as well.
Nice.
So they're having their long, protracted battle throughout this final battle where it's the Federation, the Zeon. The last of the forces are just slamming into each other. This huge, chaotic battle. Amuro and Char's chasing him down, and even though this is a very powerful suit, Amuro is such a powerful new type that he's able to best Char in this. But it's kind of like he kind of wins, but kind of doesn't really. The Gundam is basically completely destroyed in the battle, and so is the Zeon. It ends up with this climactic moment when the Gundam has its arm shut off and its head, and the Zeong has been destroyed except for the head, because the head is actually its own independent part. The pilot is inside the head, and the head can fly around and do its own thing.
Right.
So he's chasing down Char, and he's able to sense that Char's nearby. So he just gets out of the Gundam, and the Gundam, using its learning computer, takes like an extra few steps and fires up and hits the Zeon right when the Zeon fires down at him, and they both end up getting destroyed. And that is one of the really cool things about this particular set, because if you go ahead and switch to the other image,
Yeah, on the desktop?
yeah, they give you all these parts to recreate that last sequence. So you can see there the Gundam is shooting up with its beam rifle into the side of the head of the Zeong as the Zeong's shooting down. It gives you all the parts in this model kit to recreate this if you get the effect part one, with the exception of the Gundam kit itself. You do have to buy the real grade Gundam separately, but you can see there how it's got the head and the arm lopped off.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, like one of the arms is lopped off.
Oh, yeah,
and so is the
yeah,
head.
it's on this arm right here.
By this point, the battle's been going on for a while, and they're both heavily damaged. And you get all the effect parts due to the explosion on the side of the Zeon's head where it's getting shot, as well as parts to have it firing down at the Gundam. And the base in the back, like the stand that's in, they give you all the parts for that as well. And as far as I know, this set with all these parts is not going to get a re-release. This is it. So if you didn't get it for this initial one, they might not do it again.
Oh, so they re-released this whole thing? Like they released the RX, the base, the beam rifle?
No, everything you're seeing in that image, with the exception of the Gundam, came in this kit. I have all the effect parts here, as well as the stands.
Other than the Gundam, than this Gundam.
But some of these parts, some of these effect parts are unique to this kit, and they are not going to re-release them.
Okay.
So if you didn't get in this time, that's it. So if you go ahead and switch back to our camera, some of the effect parts, like these, the ones coming out of the fingers, these are just regular beam saber effect parts, like you might find on a regular high grade kit.
Right.
But there's a lot of them, so it'd be difficult to get those.
True.
These ones, like these smaller thruster pieces, these also come with like the real grade new effect parts, and some of the ones I think they sell as Ultraman ones.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get these in other places, but these ones, these larger ones, as well as these ones on the arms, the small ones that come on the side of the head for the Zeong, if you have it in its detached mode, as well as the shooting effect for the Gundam, and the two shooting effects for the Zeong's mouth, those only came out in this pack. You cannot get those anywhere else.
And that was their plan, to only release it?
Yeah, that's pretty much, that's kind of the incentive to get you to buy this slightly more expensive thing. The other thing that was shown in those photos is the display base for if you're going to have the last shooting scene, which is like this corridor. But
okay.
But you can actually get this in another set, because this is reused from another model. If you buy these 30-minute mission pack for the base, this is the exact same thing. It's just 2 of them. And even,
really?
Even the stand there is just 3 of these for this kit. So some of the parts you can get other ways, but the best way to do it is this effect set. So I recommend to anyone, if you're interested in really getting the full effect of the kit, the effect part set, if you can get it, is really the way to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
And time build, I know you kind of like did it all in one sitting, but what the average builder?
I rushed through this in a hurry because I really wanted to talk about it on the show. And this was my first time building a real grade. And real grades have come a long way since they came out originally. This being the newest one is super advanced and very well detailed, so I wanted to talk about it. I built it in one night, and I did everything to it that you would do out of box. So it's built. It's not painted, but it's all panel lined. All the decals are on, and I also did a flat coat to it. Because I wanted to really highlight how good real grades look in pretty much an out-of-box setting. Real grades can look really, really nice with, honestly, very minimal effort because of the super detailed decals they come with. And they even come with like these little metallic decals. Like you can see a few of them.
On the elbow and the bicep.
Yeah, on like the biceps. There's some on the skirt. This one actually came with 2 different kinds. It came with these little silver ones and then like these copper colored ones, which give it like a really cool multi-layered effect. And even though this is a real grade, which is like high grade size, this is like master grade levels of detail in my opinion. More so.
Even the size seems rather large.
Well, the size wise, just as comparison, this Gundam is in the same scale. The Zeong is just a massive suit.
So they put it in retrospective, like they put it in so you could actually see it compared side by side.
Yeah, this is in scale with all the other real grades. It's
scale.
just Zeong is just that big. But there's even some master grade level technology in it, Like something that I really like in the master grades, especially with the Zeon suits with the single eye, is when you turn the neck, the eye looks in the direction it looks. The same is done here on the Zeon, even though it's in that smaller scale. When you turn the head to either side, the eye will look in that direction. And because the Zeon is a suit that flies around and the eye needs to look in all directions, you can see where there's space for the eye in the top. You can pop off the top of the head, and there's a little bit of mechanical detail for like where the rail would be. You can pop that off, and if you wanted to have the suit like looking above it, you can move the eye up that way and then just replace the top of the head so that when he's flying straight at you, he's still looking directly at you ahead.
Oh, cool.
So it's a very neat little effect.
It's like super yeah, you can't really see it, but we get the point because you can see the clear glass or the clear plastic on it.
Yeah, but you can see that the eye can look around in all those directions, and then when you put it on here and you turn it when it's in the up mode, it'll look up or down from the top of its head. So it's a neat little effect to have. And they even include details like, because I mentioned the pilot's inside the head, but there's two cockpits in the suit. There's one in the body and one in the head. So there's a little hatch on the back of the head so you can get into, and there's one on the back of the torso as well.
Are they functional?
Yeah, they're functional. You can open them up. It's just that you have to have these tiny little fingertips to get in there to get them open. But yeah, they are functional. The only thing I didn't really care for about the head was there was no way to attach the beam effect part for him shooting. Like it's this effect part,
right?
Where he'd be shooting out of there. I feel like this could have been everything that pegged in there. As it is, it's just a little tiny piece that connects to the stand. So you can have him shooting it, but he has to have the stand there, and it almost makes him look like he's using like a microphone or like a really big cigar. It's kind of a strange look, but it's there as an option if you were to use it. And of course, you can see these little thrusters on the side. There's an effect part included as well for if you just want to have the head flying around on its own, so you can have a little jet thrust coming out of there. So yeah. But I'll take them off the stand for a minute so I can show off some of the other technology in the kit. So let me go ahead and remove these wire-guided arms.
Can I test this? Might be some music.
I like that the arms detach.
Yeah. So I'm going to take these over here for a second, and I'll just talk about the main suit. There are lots of different ways to use the stand with this suit as well. He comes with two different places to attach the stand depending on the pose. This one in the back, and then there's one in the more traditional spot underneath the waist. But with all the thrust parts, I think it's really cool to have them in like this backward dashing pose.
Yeah, I agree.
So I use the one on the back more often than not. But to show you,
but he could be facing like that, exactly. He could be facing straight up.
he could be looking straight ahead, and because it doesn't have legs and all these thrusters, the torso is designed in such a way to where he can do a lot of posing with the torso to make him look like he's in motion. So I'm going to remove some of these effect parts so I can show off some more of that. And these all just plug right in. They're very easy to remove. And like I said, these are the same effect parts I think they use on the real grade new Gundam for its funnels and stuff, with the exception of these large ones for the booster. Now, Zeong, like I said, doesn't have legs, so you think it might be kind of simple. The lower body actually has the most going on of the whole kit. Every piece of the skirt is individually jointed and is able to move to allow these thrusters to move around in different directions. So every one of these thrusters is individually jointed and is able to move. And these bigger ones are actually on a hinge, like you might see on a master grade style Gundam's leg joints, to allow them to pose further out. See, like for a braking pose, you might want to move them forward, or you can have them back. And there's so much detail in here. They even include like a little metal wire that goes around the top of the thrusters to make it look like a fuel cable. And it's a detail that's almost impossible to see. Like if I hadn't mentioned it, it's difficult to tell it's even there. But it's so cool that they include something like that. And just to show you as well,
let me see the metal part, like on the inside. Or let me show it to me on the inside part, where you can barely see it. Where you can barely see.
If you see like around the inside of the thruster, there's a little
yeah.
That's a metal cable that's going around.
even like the detail on the inside of the skirt, right?
Yeah, like each individual panel, I'll pull off one piece.
That's incredible, man.
To show you, this is something like I said, you see a lot more in master grade kits. You don't typically see a lot of in other kits. There's detailing inside all the skirt armor for like you can see the frame of it.
We have a question. He said, Jay's asking, Jay says, why do I think it was Anakin Skywalker pod racer? Not really sure we were referring
Well,
to
because
there.
those big jet engines.
Oh, the jet engine.
Yeah.
But he asked, do you mind if I ask how much does it cost?
The one with the effect parts, I think we were selling here for what, 100 or give or take?
105?
105. 105 with the effect parts, and I think it was 60 with just the 63 with just the mobile suit. And that's pretty much what you're going to see for most of them. This is a very, very big box for a real grade. Just
Yes.
to give you an example of what I'm talking about for size. That's the box for a real grade. There are master grades that don't have boxes this big. So this is, of course, with the effect parts, so the normal one's going to be a bit smaller. But this is a big model kit. But like I said, just to go into more some of like the master grade level engineering on this.
The amount of detail is like phenomenal.
Yeah, and just check like when you move the torso
Right.
back, these thrusters in the front tilt out automatically and kind of angle out.
Right.
Where if he was doing like a braking or a thrusting pose. And same thing when the other way. When he tilts the other direction, you see the thrusters in the back also fold out. Yeah.
Man, incredible, bro.
And there's a lot of detail like that with the biceps and everything.
The articulation, the
Yeah.
bending.
It's-
I even see like on the side, like are they supposed to be like hydraulics? Like
yeah,
on the
because
sides?
like I said, the suit's going into battle and it's not even finished. Some parts don't even have armor on it. There's a version of the kit which is kind of like a what-if version, not in this scale, but is if they had finished it and it's got legs and all this extra armor on it, and you see what it looked like, and these parts are covered up. We can actually switch to that real quick.
Yeah. Let's go to desktop. Let's go over here and there.
So this is the master grade one. This is called the Perfect Xeon. The idea here being is if Zeon had a few extra weeks to finish the mobile suit, this is what it would have looked like. This is the master grade scale, but even in master grade scale, it's so big. This is like bigger than most perfect grades. That's how big of the suit would have been. So
And when was this finished? Or like when was it produced?
this model kit was late 2002.
Really?
Yeah, so quite a bit older. So obviously the detail is less, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But just to give you an idea of what the Zeong looks like in its more finished state. Like if you look at the biceps, see no exposed hydraulics or anything because it's covered up with those armor panels now.
Dang.
Okay, so you can go ahead and switch back. But yeah, the detail on this kit, like just the surface detail, like there's so much panel lining, there's so much little like details of like rivets and thruster areas. It just looks fantastic. And like I said, the most I've done to this is just some panel lining, the decal work, and then some clear coating with some flat clear coat. And it really, really makes it pop. It looks
I just can't believe you do this all in one sitting.
I was very anxious to do this because, like I said, real grades.
Because you left here at like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. You left here at like 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it was a little rough the next day, but you know, a couple cups of coffee, we do what we can do, right? But
Right.
I was very interested in this one, like I said, because I knew this was going to be my first real grade. People talk about them a lot. They were always like, "Oh, I can't believe you haven't done one yet." And I was, there hasn't been really one that caught my eye. And the Zeong is kind of a divisive design. Either you love it or you hate it. I like it. I like the 70s aesthetic. I like how weird it is. And in the context of the story, it's a memorable fight because it's the final fight between those two characters in the original series.
The skirt kind of looks like, what is it, a Bondoc?
Yeah,
Bound
there's
Dock?
the Bound Dock one we talked before. There's a lot
Right,
of
like a crab kind of
the whole
horseshoe.
the whole idea with the Zeong, because it's got the name of Zeon on it. This was the culmination of all their technologies. There was a little bit of every mobile suit prior to it in it. Like it has the built-in beam weapons of the GOG. It has the megaparticle fingers like the Zagok had, and it has like these huge rocket thrusters like the Dom had. There's a little bit of everything in it, so there's a clear lineage of it. And that's where the Perfect Xeon came in, the one with the legs, because the whole idea is if Zeon had more time, it was every part of the suit was going to be able to detach and attack you from every direction. Not just the hands, but it was going to be the head, it's the legs, the head.
And I see it has a sword in the perfect grade.
In the Perfect grade, it had the sword, but keep in mind the Perfect grade, the Perfect Zeon never showed up in any animation.
Okay.
It shows up in some video games as like a what-if scenario, but the whole idea was Zeon never got that far. They lost the war before they got to that point anyway. But yeah, the real grade Zeong I think is really, really cool to have. I think this is as good as the Zeong ever looked. If I was going to complain about it, the only things I could really say was I don't like that the beam effect for the mouse shooting you have to use a stand for. I wish they had included some kind of way to have it pegged directly into the mouth. If you're going to paint this, the way they did the hands can make it a little bit difficult because, let me go ahead and take this apart. This is not a piece that you build. The fingers are molded in that kind of injection molding, like similar to what.
Oh, they're not articulate. You can't move them.
No, these are articulated, but they're injected on the runner, like the individual fingers, to where this is a single part.
Oh,
If you were to paint these, it'd be very difficult to mask off those little finger joints and paint them.
So is there like a rod going through it, like one piece going through the finger holes?
It's literally molded as one piece. You could not take those fingers apart if you tried.
Okay.
The whole idea is a lot of the earlier real grades, they did that with the entire skeleton, but they've kind of moved away from it because it caused problems. This is not bad because you get that super high articulation without having to assemble it.
Right.
Sorry, give us 1 second. Sorry, just testing on the machine.
No, that was like a phone call to Flynn's, I think.
Okay. But it's nice because you get that level of articulation, but it's something that would be very difficult to mask off and paint if you were going to paint, because these are such tiny little parts.
Because it looks as if it's independent pieces, kind of like with the Zaku, the things on the legs,
the pipes
on the legs.
Those you slide onto there. This, it's just you cut it off the runner and the fingers are already ready to bend, ready to go. So it's very impressive because you see that very obvious. They've increased the technology.
Yeah, 100%.
And like I said, you saw some of it in that Miku kit where you're seeing multiple colors on the runner and stuff like that.
Right.
And you see that in this. But the good thing about it is the fingers are superposable. You get a lot of range of motion out of them. They do include a part with the effect set too, because by having those Beam Saber effect parts in, the worry is that the joints might get loose over time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
So with the effect part set, they do include like a little piece for you to put here on the palm that slots in that keeps the fingers straight. I haven't found the need to use it. I think they hold up very well on their own, but it's something to keep in mind if you're displaying it for over long periods of time.
The weight
of the fingers may start to sag, but they give you a way to correct that. With this little runner. This little runner is specific to the effect part set. So you get these little pieces here. These are for the Zeong's hands to keep its fingers straight. You get a different hand for the Gundam for holding its beam rifle if you were to have the real grade. And you also get a broken neck and shoulder piece for the Gundam to where if you were going to display in the final battle, you get to have those damaged parts.
So we S15, Steven. Hey Steven, what's going on, man?
Hey Steve, what's
watching
going
on Twitch. He's working on a killer Among Us, I think Among Us cosplay.
Nice.
But nonetheless, he says, could you ask Ben if he ever thought of a kit bashing a bunch of the kits together to create a masterpiece? A random question.
I've done a little bit of kit bashing. I need to do more. I'm actually in the process. I was going to bring it in here at one point, but I'm in the process of kit bashing a gun cannon into a gun cannon like Special Forces Desert type, which would have like, it's got like a half shield and a missile launcher combo weapon. But I need to get more into that, but currently I'm in the process of setting up something on my place to potentially do more streaming and paint
how to style stuff.
I want to do that here, but it's difficult to paint here with machines and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about that in the future. But yeah, I want to do more kit bashing. I've got bins and bins of parts and stuff to do it with, like just tons of leftover Gundam pieces. So it's just a matter of getting around to it. But believe it or not, we're not done talking about what this one comes with yet. It's still got more. This is a really crazy kit.
I like the fact that with the hand, the thought process that goes into that. That eventually will possibly sag. Let's give them an option to fix that.
It's a great.
That's incredible.
It's an incredible amount of forbearance on their part, so I very much appreciate it. And if you wanted to display this kit, like say you didn't get the effect parts and you just wanted to display it, like what do you do with it? It's just kind of sitting there.
Right.
They give you the option of having it with landing gear deployed. So they give you these options.
Was the landing gears in the show or no?
You never see it use it because it's pretty much only in space. But if you want,
but they do have them.
But it does have them, and in this model kit, it's recreated here. You can see the landing gear pieces here folded away. Mm-hmm. You can pop those off and replace them with these legs that are extended, so you can just have it like at rest, like ready to launch. So very.
It's so much cooler with the effects part.
Yeah, I think this kit looks great with the effect part. But effect parts, they can be difficult to make look good if you're going to paint them because it is just clear plastic.
I wouldn't paint them.
And because some of these are reused in other kits, they're not perfect for the Zeon. Like these ones, these thrust ones are used in a lot of other model kits, and they're usually displayed on stands, like for the funnels and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So they have this hole in the bottom of them where you would attach that stand. You don't need that for the Zeon, but because they're reusing parts, those holes are there. So if you're going to display it, you'd probably turn those away from wherever you're looking. It's not a deal breaker for me, but it's something
I didn't even notice that.
You might not, because especially when you're looking at everything going on, they can be easy to miss. But it's just something to be aware of. And there are a few other parts, because you're getting these effect sets, that you don't even use. Like there are these other little effect part caps that come in the set, but you don't even use them for this. And the other effect part is these ones for the launching effect on the hands themselves. And it's just great. They even include the effect of like, where does the stand attach on this? Normally the arms are closed like that, but when he deploys, they extend out, and then there's a little hole on either side for you to attach the stand. So for this one, they really did think of everything.
No wonder it takes like, I mean, how many years? I know you're going to talk about the older one, but
Yeah.
how many year gap was that? Like 18 years?
The one that I'm going to talk about came out in 2002. So
That was 19 years ago.
yeah, and you'll see when I bring it over here just how stark the change is.
But you can now tell like the amount of, like you said, foresight they're putting into each kid, the thought.
Yeah,
they're thinking about what they should do, how they should do it better.
Even just like you
Man.
say, parts getting worn out and sagging.
The
they're
way of the
thinking about-
ninja.
Thinking about like how can we improve things to where like over years they don't sag, or okay.
Man,
this-
what a time to be alive with model kit building, man. Like, I mean,
just in the time I've been in it, and I haven't been into it for that long in the grand scheme of things, it's amazing how far it's come.
it's going to be a matter of time before they're like, hey, build your own life-size Gundam.
I mean, they're getting there. They've built 3 of them now. There's
Here's
a
your
4th
life-size
one going
Gundam
up.
kit. It's only a couple $1 million, but you too can have one.
There are people that have built like life-size mecha inspired by Gundam. You have like that Karatas thing, which is the one you can pilot.
Yeah.
Well, there's just some guy with too much money, too much free time, and an engineering degree. You know, why not?
They gave him an extension cord just in case.
Why not?
Become self-aware.
So yeah, that's it for the real great Zeon. I definitely think this is
That is fabulous.
it's a
Now I wish
showstopper.
I would have gotten it.
it's a showstopper.
Son of a-
If I see them come up
No, I'm
again,
kidding.
I'm gonna definitely get some more for the store. I don't think the ones with the effect parts are coming out again. They might release. This seems like perfect P Bandai territory. They might release a version of this with the legs as the Perfect Xeon, or they might release like a thing where it's just the legs and you buy that and you combine them. That seems like the kind of thing they might do in the future for a P Bandai.
Do you see
thing.
the option there where the legs could be added?
Being that it has that joint where you can swing the hips either way.
Oh, because the big
hips,
thruster is hooked to
That's
it.
something that they do on a lot of master grades. So you could very easily, I see, have them remove this thruster, and those legs could peg in there. Just
Because
as
when the
well.
pegs, the back thrusters would still be there for propulsion.
Though you'd still need those either way. And it's
Interesting.
something they did on the master grade, so it's something I could see them doing here.
This is a real grade?
no, this is
Oh,
not.
I was gonna say because
this
that
is
does
not
not
the
look
real
like
grade.
the real grade one.
This is not the real grade.
Same scale.
Same scale. I just brought him in for scale just so you could see, like, if you were to put these two guys together, it's like, yeah, the Zeong is a much bigger suit. And then if you were going to put legs on it, you know, Amuro is in a very one-sided fight, I think. So it's very much.
But he still loses. Char loses.
Just to give you a context for how brutal this fight gets, it gets to the point where the Gundam loses its head,
and the arm.
and the arm. The Zeong is down to just the head. They both destroy each other's suits, and then they get out of the suits and they grab swords, and then they keep fighting
In space.
in space. Brutal. And Amuro ends up getting stabbed for the arm. Char gets stabbed in the head, and the only reason he survives is because he's wearing that helmet, and it still cuts his face up real bad. So it's a very brutal, protracted fight, and these guys, by the end of the show, really hate each other, and it kind of gives some context to why things are as bad as they are in Char's Counterattack, the movie that happens later on. So, the only other thing I would say about the real grade is they do have these little metallic stickers. The little metallic decals go on various parts. You can see them on the shoulders there, parts of the skirt, the copper ones. Especially with these silver ones on the shoulders, I cut those out of the sticker and then put them on separately because they're attached to other decals, like these little lettering effects.
Christopher says, how am I pronouncing this name?
Amuro.
Amuro's Gundam survived.
It did, but that's like it survived in like
Is it contested?
in like non-canon material. Like he's able to go back to it after the fight, after he has that.
So it's like
knockout.
floating in space.
No, it's inside of Baoku, which is like this asteroid, and it's blown to hell. But he's able to go back to it and get the core fighter out of it, which is the escape pod in the chest, and he's able to escape out of the colony, out of the Baoku as it's exploding with that. In other canon, but it's kind of a weird canon, they're able to recover the Gundam and repair it, but I don't think it ever goes into battle again. I think they just use it as a test bed for future technology. I know there's a whole like side story Arrow game, like called Girls of Anaheim, which is about like these women developers, and they get the Gundam and redevelop it, and they use that as part of the Gundam project. But that's like a fan game, and it's an Arrow game, so it's like not canon. I don't think in canon anything happens with the Gundam after it's recovered.
Interesting. All right.
So yeah.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, there's
That's crazy.
and also it's a little bit hard to keep track of in that because the canon for Gundam is changing all the time.
Right, exactly.
They're constantly adding new stuff. So for all the one you built the other time, the Gundam Alex.
Yeah.
Like recently that got reintroduced into the show through another Gundam add-on. Like that one was destroyed at the end of its show. Well, it turns out they recovered it and rebuilt it, and then it shows up again. But it was like nobody knew about that because they hadn't made the show yet. But like I said, canon's changing all the time. But the only other thing, like I said, is those little silver decals. Since they're difficult to fit into those gaps, I ended up cutting them out and putting them in there myself with a toothpick, just so they fit into those little gaps better. So that's something you might want to do.
Couldn't you use? You're talking about the shiny parts.
Yeah, these little
Couldn't
shiny
you
ones.
use the Gundam markers to get in there?
You could do it with the Gundam marker as well, but I wanted to make it look as close as I could to just something out of box.
Okay.
Because that was the whole point of these. Real grades look really, really good, basically on their own without a lot of extra stuff.
Christopher says the battle data inside the Gundam was very valuable.
Yeah, because Amuro had been fighting with it.
So it was recording all this data.
And it's recording all his data, and it's like I said, it's not just Amuro, it's also like a learning computer. And they were able to take that data and then, okay, what were the flaws in the design of the suit? What were the weaknesses? And we can exploit that for future designs.
Okay.
So they're able to take that.
Like the black box.
Yeah, they're able to take that black box and say, whoa, what was our most powerful pilot and our most powerful suit? Let's take that data and use it for future ones. And it does come up in things like 0083 when they've got like the Gundam project going on. They're basing it on data from the Gundam. But for all intents and purposes, the Gundam at that point is destroyed and it's never seen in true combat again.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I think in Anaheim Girls, I think actually at the end, somebody does pilot it. But like I said, it's an Arrow game. It's really just, it's a porno game for Gundam fans, whatever. No one's talking about that. But,
interesting.
And like I said, that's not canon anyway.
Canon, all right. We're talking about canon, Christopher.
Yeah, canon stuff gets complicated. Like I said, it could have changed and I could have missed it, but as far as I know, the original Gundam doesn't go into battle again.
So those are the sticker applications.
The sticker application's a little bit
warning.
difficult. Like I said, some of the effect part choices are a little bit weird, but on its own, I think this is a super impressive kit. Maybe not everyone's taste because the Zeong is such a strange design, but if you're into that, if you like the 70s aesthetic, if you have an original Gundam to pair with it, really in any grade, it looks fantastic. And it just makes the Zeong look all that more imposing, even though this doesn't have that real grade level detail. But yeah.
Yeah, because that's just a high grade.
Yeah, this is just an entry grade kit. This is that one we built.
Oh, the entry grade, really?
Yeah, so this is the super simple Gundam. But it looks good, and it's great to just have the scale because, like I said, it's not just Amuro fighting Char. It's Amuro fighting really at a huge disadvantage, this super powerful, super advanced mobile suit. So it's a nice setup to have.
Nice.
So now I've made a total mess with all these effect parts.
We can put them later because we
all
got to do
over
another
your
video.
place. So I'll put these aside. And the other kit I brought in to kind of do a compare and contrast. This is the Zeong in real grade.
I'm moving into a larger camera so you can kind of see it
Right.
straight up.
And
all right,
this
here we go.
is the Zeong in master grade.
Now remember, this kit was released in 2002. So.
Yeah, this is a much older model kit, but it is obviously a much larger model kit. This is in master grade scale, so high grades and real grades are on 1144 scale. This is a master grade in 1100 scale. Funny story with how I got this kit. I actually bought this when I was still living in California. There was an anime store nearby me called Anime Nuts in Buena Park.
Okay.
It was going out of business because they had a protracted lawsuit for selling bootleg DVDs.
What? Oh my god.
Not the best way to go out.
They're selling bootleg DVDs.
But all their model kit stuff was on deep discount, so I got this guy, I think at the time, for $30.
The attorney's sitting there while you're getting it.
Yeah, more or less. That place is getting really picked bare. But I got a lot of good, legit DVDs from them before they went under. I didn't buy any of the bootleg stuff.
Uh-huh.
But this was a very big master grade. It's still a big master grade for what it is, even though it doesn't have legs.
But in the comparison of size, like you had stated, if you put another master grade next to it, it's going to line up.
Yeah, if you were to put another master grade alongside it, like in terms of scale, they would match. Even though, just like I said, it's just because Zeong is that large of a mobile suit.
I don't think it's hooked in the back.
Yeah,
So you
just
gotta,
the stand. It kind of has a strange mechanism for the stand on this one. The stand locks in multiple positions, so you can have it in flight or
That's kind of cool.
standing. Yeah, but it's such a heavy kit. Even though this is like an old one, it's so heavy that it can be a little bit difficult to hold on to it. I mean, just the
Yeah, that is pretty heavy.
yeah. Just to give you an idea, this one.
Man, this is what they would call master grade kits in 2002.
What makes this a master grade is this. He has individually jointed fingers. This was hot shit in 2002.
People would buy this kit just for the fingers.
This was groundbreaking, man. The only kits at the time this were released that had posable fingers like this were perfect grades. To see that in a master grade level kit was unheard of. And nowadays it's just like
I guess we're just spoiled.
Yeah, nowadays we're very spoiled. You know, posable fingers, big deal, big whoop, right? But at the time this was a big deal. And just to give you some idea of how far this has come, the skirt on this is a single piece. It's non-movable. You cannot move any of these panels like you could in the real grade. There is a lot of good detail on this. This is by no means a bad kit. It's just simplistic compared to what we may be used to.
But you can make it more detailed.
No, and there are lots of ways this is still very good. Just like I said, for the scale, having the Zeong in this scale is cool because it's such a strange suit. Having it in this larger size, it's still very imposing looking, and it still has some of the same gimmicks. Like it still has these detachable weapon arms. Get those off, and it comes just like the real grade did. It comes with some stands to hold them. They're just a little more simplistic. Rather than locking into it, they just kind of sit on there like that, and then you have these wire effect parts to connect them. And there is quite a bit of difference.
Do they have the beams? that come out?
No effect parts for this. That wasn't a thing at the time this kit was released. There's not even the option because the ends of these fingers are actually like filled in. It wasn't something, like I said, they thought of back then. Still lots of cool detail, like it does have the mono eye in there. It does not move when you turn the head. That technology did not exist at the time, but you can pop off the top of the head, and position the eye in whichever way you like. And just like on the real grade, you do have the cockpit door on the back of the head, as well as one on the chest. And they do have other similarities, like the thruster parts on the chest are able to fold out just like they do on the real grade. A little less detail, but the effect is there, which is neat. You still get a lot of cool mechanical detail in the biceps and everything like that. And there is a little bit of movement in like the chest, like there's a little bit of movement. The shoulders
move a little bit.
And same thing there, they're able to move quite a bit more than the typical master grade at the time. And of course, like the little engines on the head are able to move independently and things like that. Like I said, not a bad kit, but it has come a very long way. What's cool about this one is you can get this with the legs as a master grade. It's kind of a little bit hard to come by now, but a friend of mine built one a little bit ago, but I think it eBay's now for anywhere from $200 to $300.
For the legs?
It comes with the
go with
kit.
the legs.
I like this one because this is the way it appeared in the show. You never see it in the show with the legs.
With legs, yeah, exactly.
But if you wanted to get the perfect Zeon with the legs, you can buy this in master grade scale, and it is a gigantic thing when it's all put together. Like I said, it's bigger than most perfect grades, and they include a few new things as well. It gets a big chrome-plated sword. So it has
like we saw in the photo.
Yeah, like as you saw in the photo, it has like a cool melee weapon, and it's just neat to have as something that's, like I said, so outlandish and so unique of a design. But as much as I like this, the real grade has very much eclipsed it. I would love to see a 2.0 Zeon on it someday, but being that it's so strange, I don't think it's going to happen. So if you're set on the
master grade.
Well, this is master.
No, I meant like a new master grade.
Oh yeah, like I would love to see it, but being that it's such a weird design, it's unlikely, I think. But if you like the master grade scale, I still think this is a good kit. The limited posability and the limited detail or the limited posability you can work around, just being that the design didn't do that much. It's really just constantly in flight and shooting its weapons. I mean, Zeong really looks best posing and pointing at you menacingly. That's what it looks best doing, so it works out well for this one. And things like lack of detail in the skirt, you could customize this to add more of your own detail to it. So I don't think it's a bad kit by any stretch of the imagination, but the real grade really has eclipsed it in most ways. And like you say, it's just insane how much further the technology has come. Because when I bought this way back in California, this was not a new kit, but it was much newer than it is now. And it's just crazy how far things have come and how far the technology has come, down to the system injection molding where they get the multiple colors of the parts, down to like the effect parts looking so good, and just to the gimmicks and the amount of posability they can fit into something that's half the size. The real grade is half the scale of this, and it's just so good.
No, yeah. The fact that the thrusters move, but that flat coat really makes it.
Yeah.
Really helps.
Flat coat really looks good on it.
And the panel lining. So it can be done. It's really simple, but it takes it to that next level.
Right. And you can still get these older ones to look good. Like I said, I'm not knocking them at all. I have a ton of the old ones. I'm still got a few old ones I'm looking out for. And this is one that, if the demand is there, if I see it come up, I might order because I know it doesn't come up too often because it's a strange design.
And sometimes with the older kits, I've noticed that with the older kits like we have here at Flynn's, like even the RX-78 that you got. I mean, it's what? What's it, like $5? The old one?
The first grade kits.
Yeah, it's like $5, but it allows you, it's all one color, obviously, but it allows you the ability to customize or play around with it or mess around with it, and really it's a low enough price point that if you mess up,
right,
you can learn from it.
And the aesthetic here is very different. Like in the 70s animation, this is much closer to what the Zeong looked like on the screen. It, like even in the clip you saw, that was new animation, but it's still a very kind of simple looking suit.
Right.
Real grade is like the design aspect is, if it were to exist in real life, what might it look like? If you're an animation purist, real grades might not be your thing. You know what I mean? So this might be more your thing. You want it to look like it did in the show. Something like the master grade or maybe the old high grade might be the way to go. But like I said, it's all manner of different strokes, different folks. What do you like? What are you looking for in a kit? I always tend to prefer the master grade line because I like having uniform scale in my collection. Most of my collection is master grade, so I want stuff that's, if you put them next to each other, that's the size they would be next to other contemporary mobile suits. Not to knock the real grades, but the line is not still very fleshed out. There's not a ton of real grades yet, and most of them are hero suits. So if you wanted like a big variety, you don't have that yet.
Right.
You might at some point.
You have a lot in high grade.
They have a lot of variety in high grade.
And more in master grade.
And slightly less in master grade,
Okay,
but still a lot of variety. So there's that option to consider too. It's really just a matter of what you like. But it's very hard not to recommend, if you had to pick one or the other, it's very hard not to recommend the real grade. They really set the bar very, very high. I can't wait to see what they do with other ones in the future. And like I said, something to watch out too is I would not be surprised to see this guy as a P Bandai with the Perfect Xeon legs. That seems like something they would very likely do.
And this was a kit, guys, once again, that being part of our Discord allows you to kind of get the inside scoop of when something's coming up or when it's going to be in here at Flynn's, or I try my best to put it in the stories or, let everybody know. And we always make it first come, first serve. So if you want a kit or you're looking for something specific, let us know. Reach out to Ben through Instagram or Facebook or something, or reach out to us.
Yeah, and if you missed out, don't worry. This will get released again, and we will get some more. It's just the ones with the effect parts might not be able to get those again. So if you're on the fence and you haven't got it, and there's some places online you can still get it, don't wait. I don't think they're going to last. My personal thing is, if you're going to get the thing, you want the effect parts. Even though you can piecemeal some of it out to other kits, I think it's worth having the whole kit and caboodle.
Well, I agree, especially with the different posabilities, and it just looks cooler.
Yeah, it looks cooler, and I love the way the stand is because you can attach it from the back. I think the Zeong with all those effect parts looks best in like a backward dashing pose.
I agree.
So you can have all that detail underneath the skirt, all that thrusters on display.
I agree.
And then have the arms out attacking independently. It's a very, very cool kit, and it's definitely a showstopper on your shelf.
And the price point's not super, super high comparatively speaking.
Base kit, not too bad. Like I said, $63 is what we're selling it for here. That's about what you'll find it for most places online. I mean, the price is going to be slightly higher depending on where you go.
Shipping and all that stuff.
Shipping and stuff like that. But with the effect parts, we were selling it for $105 or $100 about that point. If you can still find it online, you're going to pay at least that, and then you have to worry about shipping. And shipping will knock you back a bit because it's a big box. So if there's a place that has like a shipping deal that you can find it, look into that. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth going for the effect part set. But
highly recommend. What about the manual in closing? Anything in the manual that you saw? Or
I was a little disappointed in the manual because I've gotten a little spoiled lately with the Verka kits, and they're bilingual. The most of the instructions are still bilingual, but the little technology blurbs, like they include some history and context of the suit. They include this one in bilingual, but all the other ones that explain like the details of the weapons and the abilities of the suit are not translated.
So you got to use your phone?
I pretty much know all the history of the Zeon
okay.
anyway, and I'm familiar with it from the show, and I know the technology behind it. So it doesn't really do me any good not having that, but it is something to keep in mind that it does not have that. So if you're maybe a little spoiled on the newer instructions, I was a little disappointed by that. There is a separate instruction sheet that comes with the ones with the effect parts. This is just explaining how to set up all the effect parts, as well as setting up the display stand if you're going to do the last shooting. And the decal sheet, usually for real grades, they include quite a bit more. There wasn't actually that many decals for this one.
It looks like a small sheet.
Yeah, they went a little bit sparse around it, but I think that's just the nature of the design. You still get some of those nice little foil ones. Some of these littler ones, like I said, these are attached to other ones with text. You might want to cut those off. That's what I did with a hobby knife. I cut those off and attached them independently, just so the fit would be a little bit better. But there's a few extras on there, like a couple extra Zeon symbols, and that's about it. But overall, I think a really great kit. And like I said, when you put the two next to each other, it's amazing what the difference can be.
Night and day.
2002 and 2021. It's crazy how far it's come. I can't wait to see what they do next. Next real grade coming out, I believe, is the ground type Gundam. That's the one I've done the costume of.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be very interesting to see, because that's that's another one where the master grade is quite old. So it'll be neat to see how much they've done with the real grade in comparison to that. And maybe if we get those, we'll do a comparison video of those too.
Sweet.
How are we doing on time?
We are at over an hour right now.
Okay, cool. I managed to talk about one of the weirdest Zeon suits
For over an hour.
for over an hour. So that's good, because it is such a strange design.
And of course, guys, if you're looking for an opportunity to come and hang out, we do the build and pay night every Thursday at 8 o'clock to about midnight. So everybody's welcome to that. It's totally free to attend. If you don't have a kit, you can come on by. We have a plethora of a plethora of kits at very affordable prices.
More coming in all the time.
We'll also be at the conventions as they begin to come back.
Yeah, we're going to Super Fan Con coming up next.
Yep, in March, and we'll do our best to bring as many kits as we can with us, so that just in case you're not able to make it over to Flynn's, you at least are able to partake in the bounty that we have here. And with the expansion, we're super stoked to be able to add more to our inventory, a larger build space, a continual build space, or a maker space. And we got a lot of really cool ideas that we want to roll out with that upcoming expansion. So any thoughts in closing, Ben, for anybody?
I wish I hadn't waited so long to get into real grades, because this is really, really nice. I can't wait to get more.
So now he's got to go back and rebuild his log of real.
I have to at least get the real grade of the original Gundam so I can do this last shooting display.
Nice.
That's going to be a must for me.
No, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I think the RX-78s are usually pretty sparse on the distributor.
Well, it's the first one, so it's always popular.
Right.
And because it's the first one, it's also got a few problems, I know. But I really would like to have something to fit in with this in that really nice, like ultra modern, contemporary look.
Cool.
So
once again, guys, if you are missing a kit or you want to add a kit to your collection that you don't necessarily have yet, by all means, mention it. Yes. Silverback Senpai says, Autobots roll it. Exactly. It is time to get going with that.
You work for the news. You seem qualified.
So we really appreciate your guys' time this evening hanging out with us. But let's talk Gunpla with Uber's Cosplay. Like I said in the previous message at the beginning of the hour, we're going to change things up a little bit, bounce between Gundam and Warhammer and perhaps other tabletop centric hobbies, if you will. And as we continually work on the expansion, we most likely will bounce to doing it every other week, so that we're able to have the time necessary, the dedication necessary to get the other space up and running as soon as possible, so that you guys can enjoy even more Gundam, because I'm super stoked to have a space that we can build anytime we really want.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the expansion, having more space to do stuff like painting and other things like that.
Exactly. So it's going to be a slow grind and a good process, so we're super cool. And yes, Silverback Senpai 2 weeks sounds good. Awesome. And it'll also be able to give us time to kind of build things up. Right. So anyways, guys, please come on out to our Valentine's event this Saturday, February 13th. We are aware that it is the day before Valentine's Day. I did that for a specific reason, so that people have the opportunity to celebrate in whatever capacity they want on that day. But come on out, even if you're single, or you shouldn't be celebrating alone anyways, unless of course you want to. Come on out to Flynn's, enjoy it's just going to be a great time. We always have a great time when we come together as a family and just have a lot of fun to it. So that starts at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, and I'll be rolling out some announcements throughout the week about that particular event. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
All right.
And if you're interested in the Gundam Club, we are making modifications to the payment gateway as the lovely payment merchant person kind of, works through those kinks. So that's super stoked to get those done. Sobek Senpai says singles will celebrate Valentine's on the hub. Yeah. Forever alone. But anyways, guys, we really want you to come out. You don't have to do anything alone necessarily. You can come and hang out here. Just have a good time. So hope we see you guys tomorrow at 5 p.m. when we open up for $10 Tuesdays in honor of Grand Prix Racerama. This is Eddie signing off here at Flynn's. Ben, they can find you where again?
Instagram, probably the best place. Uber's Cosplay, UBERS Cosplay, all one word. Also on all social media, pretty much same name, YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. And I'm also here most Thursdays working on my own stuff. So
and join our Discord. Our Discord channel is super easy to join, totally free, and allows you to take the discussion even
come
deeper.
for the Gundam, stay for the memes.
There you go. Exactly. People post. What you can tell they're
I
at
say
work.
people, it's mostly just me.
You can tell at work. Ben's just having this conversation with himself.
I'm just bored.
So, anyways, guys. All right. Love you a lot, guys, and we will catch you next time. Have a great evening.
Take care, guys.
Take care.